I'm Lauren Whitehurst. I'm a certified personal trainer and certified nutrition coach.
Hi, I'm Sunny Lippincott. I'm a certified professional life coach and a certified brain health professional.
We also have Angela Salyers, who is a licensed professional counselor, and the three of us together make up
Whole Life Vitality.
We teach whole life vitality of the mind, body, and soul, bringing the physical, emotional, and spiritual together for whole life wellness. Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Oh, it's a good day.
It's okay. So it is 61 degrees here, and depending on where you are listening, that might not mean much to you. But when you are living like at the southernmost tip of Alabama, when it's October and it feels like October, it is glorious.
I'm wearing flannel.
Yes,
I'm
and
like, this is like
sweating?
Christmas wear. I'm not.
not.
I'm wearing flannel and boots and not sweating.
That's
it's
why
amazing.
We are just, I mean, they call it fake fall, so we don't get too excited because we know that we could wake up tomorrow and it could be 90 again. Yeah. But right now, it's beautiful.
You know, you live in the South when almost every single person that I've talked to lately, we talk about the weather because everyone's so excited about the weather. And then it always comes back to, and did you hear that the wildlife is doing this? So that means we're going to have a really cold winter. And I'm like, maybe just stop with the wishful thinking.
Yeah, don't.
Maybe just wait and see what happens, because every year I'm like, winter's coming, and we get so excited. And then we're like,
like Game of Thrones, winter is coming.
Exactly. But in a good way.
It forces you to, when you live in Alabama, it forces you to be in the moment, because you do not know. You will walk out of the house with a parka in the morning, and then you're in a shed to a camisole by the afternoon.
And wear layers.
So just enjoy what is.
Right. That's right.
Here we are.
So if it's 85 degrees this afternoon, at least we enjoyed our flannels
We
while
had
they lasted.
60 for a little while.
That's right. That's right. And speaking of being in the moment, today we wanted to talk to you about self-care.
Self-care, which, stay with us, gents, because I know that's typically like a female thing, self-care, but
this is good for everyone.
Important for men to understand self-care as well, because you probably don't focus on self-care enough.
Yep.
So pay attention. Both. Don't stop that. I know a guy probably heard that and was like, forget it. No, stay with us.
We're not going to talk about doing our fingernails
or bubble baths
and facials, and all of those things are lovely, but that's not actually where we're headed today.
No. So I was telling Lauren, I realized that there is a very large disconnect on how we view self-care versus what self-care actually is. So
you said that to me and I was like, okay, wait, what do you mean? How do we view it?
Yes, right?
What do you mean?
And so you've probably all seen the reels or the TikToks about, self-care, and you've seen the person in line getting the gigantic Starbucks drink, that's full of all the extra shots and the whipped cream. And they're like, self-care day, or
we're not coming for your Starbucks.
Yeah, no, enjoy it. But I do want to highlight, like, what do people think self-care is versus what it actually is? So I have a list here about misconceptions of self-care.
Okay.
So I want to talk about that.
Yeah.
The first one being retail therapy, thinking that shopping for material items is a form of self-care. So you feel overwhelmed and stressed out, and you're like, what can make me feel better? Target.
You know what shopping for retail items does? They call it retail therapy. It gives you a lot of dopamine.
Yes.
And it helps you dissociate from your current problems at hand.
Yes.
So it's a distraction.
Yes.
Which is kind of nice depending on what you're going through. It's kind of nice to have a distraction, but it doesn't actually fill your tank. It doesn't fill you up.
And if you consistently, that's your go-to every time that you feel lack is the retail therapy, it's going to be a problem.
Not only will it not fill your tank, but it will drain your bank account.
Yeah. It's going to fill one tank and empty another one. That's not self-care. Okay. Second, avoiding responsibilities. using self-care as an excuse to neglect responsibilities or obligations.
Okay, anybody else ever get sucked into Candy Crush?
Yes.
Can we just take a second?
And this is my me time.
I have straight up had to delete that off my phone, and I relapsed a couple times. Like I would put it back on my phone and then leave it on for months. And no, I can't. I have to delete it again
because this is my me time.
It sucks my life away. I can lose hours on that thing. It is not okay.
Yeah. So really keeping in mind too, what are you like avoiding? Like, so that's not self-care when you have something that needs to be done. So, you get home, say you get home from work and, your kids, think about this. Your kids, they haven't seen you all day, but you're like, no, this is me time. And I'm going to plop on the couch and I'm going to, scroll on my phone, and you wait for me later. This is what she's talking about as far as that dopamine. Yeah. What you're actually doing is neglecting what gives you dopamine drips versus what gives you a pour. So we don't want the pour, okay? We want the drips.
It's like taking a shot of espresso that will give you a high and then make you crash versus eating a salad with protein and some carbohydrates and having energy for a long period of time.
So think about, you've gotten home from your day and you're like, I need to decompress. Actually hugging a family member,
oh my gosh,
is a huge form of decompression.
The other day, my husband came over and he just gave me some loves, and he stepped away afterwards. And I said, thank you so much for the oxytocin and the serotonin.
Yeah.
And the dopamine.
Yes. Yes. Truly.
Because 30 seconds, that's all you need. 30 seconds of just sitting there and hugging someone. And oh my goodness, it feels so good.
Yes. Even just, so tell me the best part of your day. Even sitting with your kids and, hey, just tell me, what was the best part of your day today? What made you smile? That's self-care. Or right there.
The funniest thing or the worst thing or,
anything.
What do you wish hadn't happened?
Yes.
Because your kids don't necessarily want to come home and go on about how wonderful school is because maybe they don't feel that way.
Absolutely. So tell me, that's true self-care. Then isolating yourself, believing that withdrawing from social interactions is a form of self-care. So it's getting too people-y in this world. You've seen those shirts. Like it's just too people-y for me. So here's the deal. Understanding that there are some times that you need to be alone. You need to fill your tank up. But again, when you think your go-to for self-care is always isolation.
Right.
And to shut yourself away, like to the point that I have to have this. And it's not in a healthy manner. I'm not talking about going and sitting on your porch. I'm talking about when you're like isolating yourself in your bedroom, in your bed, and, lights off and no one bother me.
Well, and the difference between hiding and between just relaxing. Because there's a sense of fear in hiding. Who's going to find me? What's going to happen here? Am I going to be approached? Am I going to be asked for one more thing? And that's when, resentment is involved.
Absolutely.
Because we start thinking, oh my gosh, if one more person asks me for one more thing, I'm going to lose it, right? But the reality is, it's not that they're asking you for something. It's that you haven't self-cared enough to fill your tank, so you're depleted.
Yes, 1,000%. That's the key.
Yeah.
Hiding.
Yeah.
Okay. Overindulgence. Treating yourself to unhealthy foods, excessive screen time, or other vices.
I think that the word was self-care.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And vices has a very negative connotation in my head.
It is a negative.
And so this sounds more like self-harm.
Self-harm.
Than self-care. And not that any of those things are bad in moderation. And all of those things are fine in moderation. But when it turns into a vice,
exactly. When it is your go-to. And that's what we keep going back to. Your self-care are healthy practices that fill your tank up. So if these are your go-to every time that you think I need self-care, if it involves overindulgence. So for me, I love cookie cake. Cookie cake's my favorite. So
chocolate chip cookie cake.
Chocolate chip cookie cake with the icing. And I turned 40. And what did I ask for my 40th? I wanted a cookie cake, and I got it. And
I'm so happy for you.
Thank you. And it was delicious, and I enjoyed every bit of it. But if every time I think I need, like, my self-care is a trip
every time you're feeling low,
the Great American Cookie every single time I need to overindulge, that's not actually self-care. That's self-harm.
Yeah.
Okay. And then ignoring mental health, not addressing underlying emotional or mental health issues because I just can't with that. Right?
How triggered are you?
Oh, man.
When people say that, I just can't.
I just
and
can't.
I'm like, okay, I get it. I get if you don't have the capacity right now, because there is the difference between understanding yourself and what you can handle right now, and pushing yourself too far to the point where you'll be overloaded and then, mental breakdown or whatever comes. And so I understand that. So then the way that we handle that in that moment when you're thinking, I just can't right now.
Yeah.
Then you schedule it.
Yeah.
You schedule it in. And you're like, I have to schedule my mental breakdown. No, you schedule a time to address it. I actually scheduled in, what was it, like a week and a half ago now. And I messaged Sunny about it. I was like, okay, this weekend I'm going to sit down and schedule time to make time for myself.
Absolutely.
Schedule time to make time for myself. I wasn't actually going to have time for myself in that moment that I scheduled, but I was going to use that time to figure out when I could make time.
Yes.
So even if it's
100%.
getting to a place to get to a place, it's still progress.
Don't avoid. Anytime that you think that you're avoiding your emotions or your feelings because you're self-caring, that's actually counterintuitive. Maybe sitting there and having a cry, like getting out an emotion, feeling it
can be so therapeutic.
In even having that hard conversation, something that's been eating at you with your spouse, and you said, hey, can I talk to you about something that's been weighing on me? That is actually self-care instead of, I don't have time for that. Just forget it. That's not self-care. That's self-harm.
Yeah.
So
what can we do?
And then neglecting physical health is the same thing. Neglecting mental and physical health. So saying, I'm not doing that. I'm not getting up. I'm not walking. I'm not going to the gym. I'm not getting movement in. It's me taking care of me.
Well, and you think about the spa as me time, right?
Yeah.
You think about, I'm going to go get a massage or I'm going to go to the spa, but somehow the gym doesn't fall into that category, or going for a walk or doing yoga, or
it's so backwards.
I mean, either way, it's time alone.
It's time alone.
It's time in a separate location from where you normally spend your time.
Right.
It's physical.
Absolutely. So what does self-care actually look? What does healthy self-care that fills your tank actually look like?
Yeah.
Exercise. Wow. Number 1, regular physical exercise promotes overall health and releases endorphins that actually improve your mood.
Do we need to go back to Elle Woods? I mean, do we need to?
I love Elle.
Because she told us exercise releases endorphins, and endorphins make you happy. And happy people, they just don't kill their husbands.
They don't kill their husbands.
They just don't.
She knew it.
She knew what she was talking about. And that doesn't mean you have to go sign up to run a marathon.
No.
That just means that you want to find something you enjoy where you can also move your body.
Absolutely.
So maybe that's, like Sunny was saying, maybe you take a walk.
Yeah.
Maybe you go and you spend 15 minutes and you take a walk. Maybe you...
Stretching.
Maybe you sit on the floor and stretch.
Yeah. Yoga.
If you have small children, it's really fun to get them involved in a dance party.
Yes. The weather is changing. Maybe it's a trip to play tennis outside or, a sport. Even just getting out and saying, I'm going to shoot basketball like on the hoop outside for 20 minutes. Like it's movement. It's just something that separates you from the stressors and the depressions, and it gets your body moving, and your body says, hey, movement, let's release the things in the body that make them feel good and happy and calm. Exercise does that.
You know what I love doing? I love learning a dance. So I'll like get on YouTube and find like a dance tutorial or something, or I'll like those.
That's an awesome idea.
The old school fitness videos.
Yes.
Shanti has it's not, what was it called? It's some kind of like hip hop.
Yeah, I remember Shanti.
Some kind of hip hop dance video where he actually takes you through a workout where you're learning a dance, and it's so fun. I used to do it with my daughter.
Yeah,
we had so much fun.
It's awesome
to more current music, and it was fun.
You struggle with movement. That's the way that you're getting it without realizing that you're getting it. You know,
or a rebounder, like jumping on the little trampolines.
Yeah,
it's impossible, truly impossible, to get on one of those things and spend more than a couple minutes and not smile. Yeah. Like it's impossible, because either you're laughing at yourself or you're having a good time, or
and
whatever.
Movement.
It feels good.
Okay. So, meditation and mindfulness, and people often misconstrue meditation and think that means that you have to be sitting still and emptying your mind of all thoughts. And that's really not what meditation is. You think of meditation like the Sabbath of your brain. It's just being calm and quiet. So that could even be just sitting with your thoughts, just sitting and giving yourself just a few minutes where you just notice the thoughts that you're having. That's meditating. Prayer. When you're praying, someone asks you, they're going through a hard time, and you just have a few moments where you sit there and you just pray for your family, you pray for your friends. That's a form of meditation. There's all kinds of guided meditations that literally just take you through breathing. Even breathing is a form of meditation.
On our YouTube channel, we have a couple of guided meditations that you could do. But in one of the ones that I did when I was, just getting started with meditation, then they talk about, imagine you're sitting next to a busy road, and imagine your thoughts are like the cars that are coming down that road, and you're just observing. You see the car come, and you see the car go. You're not a dog. You don't need to chase the car.
Right. You're
just observing,
aware of it,
seeing it come and seeing it go, because they inevitably will. Ram Dass, what does he say? He says, see those feelings, those thoughts and feelings come and go like waves on the ocean.
Absolutely. Meditation. It's huge. Adequate sleep. That's a huge form of self-care that we neglect at like all ages. Teenagers neglect it. Then we grow into college kids, and college kids neglect it.
Severe neglect.
And then, that becomes, middle age, and that's the first thing that goes for us
every time.
Is sleep.
Yep.
We stay up late, and then, we get up either like we snooze or we get up in the middle of the night and we check our phones, that type of thing. So it's really just terrible sleep. And
we have a whole podcast just on sleep.
Go back to it.
And so if you haven't listened to that one yet, maybe go back and listen to that. And we talk all about the downside and the upside
of sleep. Journaling. Writing down your thoughts and feelings can help you process through stress. And that is something that's so easy to do that it's so easy not to do.
Yes.
Journaling is huge for self-care.
We also have a podcast on brain dumping.
Yes.
And if you're uncomfortable journaling, if you're like, well, I don't want to sit down with a journal and start writing things because it won't be perfect, this is what you do. You sit down with your journal and your pen or your pencil or whatever, and you just write every single thing that comes into your head. It doesn't matter what it is. You're like, well, I don't have any thoughts. Well, give it a second. And if your very first thought is, I don't have any thoughts, then you write that down.
Yes.
And then maybe your next thought is, well, this is stupid. Then you write that down.
Yes.
Because more and more will come. And as they come, it will get deeper. And you'll start realizing that a stream of consciousness has begun.
It's huge.
And you'll get out stuff that you never realized was in there.
And you will.
You will.
Therapy or counseling, seeking professional help for mental and emotional challenges when needing. And coaching falls under that. Like,
for sure.
That is a huge form of self-care that we have kind of dubbed as embarrassing. And like growing up, it was always embarrassing. And even now it feels like a failure sometimes for someone to ask for coaching or counseling. They feel like, oh, well, I couldn't do it on my own. Number one, none of us can.
Or frivolous.
Yes.
You know, like, frivolous. Oh, well, I don't need that. I could do it myself.
I can't afford that. Did you even check? Yeah. Did you even look at what was available to you? Those are huge
and just having someone that you can talk to that you know is going to, one, really listen.
Yeah.
And then two, if you need feedback, give you something that's constructive. Because we all have friends who are just our hype squad, right?
Yeah.
Like everybody does. Where you go to them and no matter what you say, they are going to back you. They got you. You're the best and you're amazing and they make us feel so good, but they're not helpful.
Right.
And there's a place for that, but then there's also a place for really constructive thinking.
Yes. So when you just need to be heard, that's where you go. But when you actually need that self-care, when you know that there's a problem, reach out for the help.
Yep.
Creative outlets, engaging in creative hobbies or activities that bring you joy and self-expression. Instead of the escapism that we were talking about that people think is self-care. So you enjoy coffee. Maybe calling that friend and saying, hey, could we schedule a coffee date? Because I know when you get to the point in life that me and Lauren are at where your kids are in school and they're busy, they're playing sports and you have a business. And so you're like, I can't call my friend because I know they're busy too, Don't assume.
Yeah.
Call them, send them a text and say, hey, I would love to get together and talk over some coffee. Do you want to meet? When's available? So don't just leave it open-ended. Like, when are you available? Can you check your schedule and let me know? Meet up with them at a coffee shop. Actually sit down, feel the warm mug in your the warm cup in your hand, and actually enjoy the time.
Yeah.
You know, look them in the eye, put the phone away, have a meaningful conversation. That will fill your tank.
A couple of years ago, how long ago was it now? Maybe like 3 or 4 years ago when I reached out to Sunny and I reached out to another friend of mine, Diana, and I messaged you both because I was really looking for connection.
Yeah.
And I thought, who are people that I know that maybe I'm not really close to, but I know that will be those type of influences in my life. And I thought of these two women and I reached out to both of them and I said, hey, would either of you be interested in doing a book club with me? And they both were like, oh my gosh, yes, that would be amazing. So we met, every couple weeks or once a month? I don't even remember how often we were meeting.
Once every 2 weeks or something.
At a coffee shop. And we would all show up with our books. Yeah. And then we would sit there for hours and just talk.
Yeah, it was so
It was amazing.
It was wonderful.
And really, I think what we all needed at that point.
And God used that meeting to open up all kinds of doors for us.
So many things.
And so many things happened because of that. Yeah. And it's just, you never know, like truly. Open yourself up to those things. And even today, Lauren makes delicious sourdough bread. And so she was talking. And I have always wanted to learn how to make that. And so finally, I said, I want to learn that. And I'm tired of saying I would like to. I want to. And she said, let's do that.
Let's put it into action.
That is self-care. So I said, send me what I need. I'll get the things that I need. We're going to schedule a day. I'm going to go over and she's going to teach me. That
we might need to put this. We might need to put this on a podcast.
Yeah.
We might need to record this. Would you like to join us for this sourdough fiasco?
Experience? Yeah. Because it's an experience.
It'll be great.
And it's not going to look perfect, but that's what real life is. But that's still filling your tank.
Yeah. There's so much fun in the mess. I love that.
It's everything.
Yeah.
That's what you need.
When it's perfect, it's boring.
It's boring. And finally, reading and learning. Expanding your knowledge and exploring new interests can be fulfilling. Yep. Truly, just reading, picking up a book, feeling it in your hand, like fills you up, like feel it. We do a lot of online, reading and stuff now, but don't negate the true joy that comes into walking into a library.
Sunny messaged me a couple weeks and she said, guess what I'm doing right now? She was going to the library for the first time in a long time.
A long time. I had kind of put aside fiction. I back in 2017, I had set a goal for myself in 2016 to read a book a week for a year, and I hit my goal. I did it,
but not like a children's book, but book,
like a book. And so I read everything, but it was a lot of fiction. And when I really started working myself for healing my anxiety and doing it the natural route, I was reading a lot of nonfiction about mental health and anxiety. And so I got really stuck in that left brain learning. Yeah. And to the point that every time I picked up something to read, my brain was like, what are you learning from this? If you can't learn anything, then it's not helping you. And I think I even said that on a podcast months ago. And one of Lauren's author friends was like, tell Sunny she needs to read. She needs to read.
There is
benefit to fiction. And so I was talking to my friend who is getting her master's in library. And she reads everything. And she said, Sunny, that's going to make you a better writer.
Yep.
When you can read fiction and learn how they're writing. Yep. And that opens up that right brain part of you that you've kind of, put to the side, and you've went all left brain.
All that creativity.
So I'm telling you, when I'm in something, I'm in it. So I went that day, got a library card, went to our library, and immediately was hit with that.
Oh. And the heavens open and
yes,
the angels
I walked
sing.
In, and this sounds stupid, y'all are gonna roll your eyes, but I was smiling as I was walking through, and I knew what book I wanted because I got a recommendation from my friend. And so I went and I found the book, and as soon as I grabbed it and I had it in my hand and I walked up to the front and I handed her, the new library card that I had. and she's so pleasant, and she puts, when it's due back, and she puts it in the book, and I'm holding it in my hands, and I walk out of the car. I could not stop smiling. Yeah. And
like a kid in a candy shop.
Yes. And I devoured that thing. I think I read it. It was a huge book, but I ended up reading it in like a day. Which my husband's like, yeah, you're hot and cold with this thing. Before I was like, no, I'm not touching it. Now I'm like, I'm not putting it down. But that was huge for me. And now I have opened myself up. I do my, nonfiction reading in the morning during my morning routine. And in the evening, I've decided to, instead of watch TV, I'm setting aside time now to do my fiction reading before bed. And I love it. And that is self-care.
Yeah.
It's self-care because I'm getting learning in, and then I'm opening myself up to this reading and this new world and this experience.
But all of it is stuff you enjoy.
It's all things I enjoy that I'm incorporating. That's real self-care. Yeah. So I can walk away from those experiences. The things that we listed, those are actually filling your tank up. Yep. So the things that we think were self-care, those were actually taking from you.
How do you feel? Just think of how you feel once you're finished with your quote unquote self-care time. And if you end it and you have to go home and recover from it, it probably wasn't self-care. Yeah. If you go home and you have guilt or shame from what you did, it probably wasn't self-care. If you walk away and you feel full of life and just amazing, and you're like, oh, excited about the next thing, that was probably self-care.
Absolutely. If truly after that binge Netflix, you turn over and you will feel that
lethargic.
What is life?
Yeah.
What is it? What
am I even doing?
What am I doing? It's not self-care.
Yeah.
these things that we've listed, and there's a lot more, but these are just some things that we've listed. Yeah. These will actually benefit you.
Yeah.
And they're going to feed the need. Okay. They feed the need that you have in a healthy manner.
That's right.
So let us know. Take one of these, look up some of your own healthy, self-care practices, and tell us about your experience. Leave us a comment, message. Let us know just one thing that you've incorporated into your schedule, one thing that you're doing for you, and tell us how you feel.
Or that you already do regularly, or if you're having a hard time coming up with something and everything that we have listed today, nothing is speaking to you, then that's okay. Reach out. Because I know Sunny is too. We're like Captain Problem Solvers over here. And I'm like, ooh, let's brainstorm. That sounds like so much fun.
Yes, we're here to help.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming on this journey with us today. We'll see you next time.